welcome. Welcome all of you and the project to be here with us. So I would like to present a little bit what is the role of the test sites and the science on the development of the blue economy here in the Canary Island. The island is a region of 2.2 million people plus normally around 15 million visitors, where the maritime sector is about 2.5% of the economy in relation with everything related with port and transport activities, and another 2.5% of the GDP in relation with touristic activities. So at the end, it's more than 5%. Unemployed here in the Canary is something like 50,000 people, more or less. So the main sectors, the traditional sectors, we are mainly focused on those activities related with the sea, the transport, ports, and touristic activities. But now there are a lot of potential for emerging new technologies, especially the ones related with offshore wind, wave energy, also the production of food, aquaculture, and other activities related with safety and security, because we are in the border area of the European Union, and those the control of the sea is also an important part. So all of the new emerging technologies requires test sites to connect the technological developers with the markets. And those new activities also sometimes, the problem is not only the feasibility, the technological feasibility, but it's also the problem of the regulation or the problem of logistics, and mainly also the problem of the risk in the investment. The investors like to see how their business model works before going to the market. So that is where the test sites, I think, can play a very good role in order to de-risk those technological, regulatory, also social or environmental problems, in which not only the technology is tested, but also the business model is tested as a whole. So that is what PLOCAN is doing, providing test sites of 23 square kilometers in the sea with different depths, with on and offshore platform and facilities in order to connect all kinds of devices related with marine technologies. So we are mainly focusing on those emerging areas in order to provide testing for energy transition, for food security, digital transition, healthy oceans, and also we also provide services related with excellent science or basic science. But mainly what we are looking at is taking care that during the next decades, especially marine energy is going to increase or multiply by a factor of 5 until 2030, sorry, and 25 until 2050. The European Commission already within the Green Deal is targeting more than 300 gigawatts for 2050, and that means an investment of 750 billions. So I think that this is also a great opportunity in order to enhance local economy and creating new jobs and retaining talents around the islands. So again, in the production of food, we have to increase the food production, aquaculture by 6 during also the next years, and also there is plenty of new opportunities related with the digitalization or on the marine observation or technologies related with, for example, unmanned transport. So what we combine is the port facilities that we already have, in which traditional activities are already happening, especially here in Gran Canaria. there are a lot of value chains around the oil and gas, because the port is providing the base for oil rigs and bunkering across the Atlantic area. So the expertise and the value chain that is around there, we use it now in order to help and provide services in relation with marine energies. So the test site is providing all of these facilities to test whatever technologies it will require. So I'm going just to show you some examples of those technologies. Especially the sector that is growing faster is the offshore floating. This offshore floating, of course, extend the capacity of getting energy from a large part of the oceans, but the technology have to be improved in order to be competitive with the rest of the renewables. So, but this is a sector definitely, as you can see in the figure, that is growing by more than 10% during the next decades, offering a big opportunity, a business opportunity. Also, the size of the blades are increasing. Now, for example, the one that you can see in our test site is 5 megawatts, but the next generation will be plus 10 plus or 15 plus, 15 megawatts. So I'm just going to show you some of the examples of the technologies that are already being tested here at PLOCAN. As you can see, the Alicante project is one of them, in which they are testing, for example, how used to concrete in order to have these mastiles and enhancing the local production, because at the end of the day, what is important is not only to use the energy, but also in a business that is very intensive in capex, we need that the production of these devices could be done locally. So, and that is what has been tested with these Alicante projects. But there are also other projects that are now in the bay, in the port. That is the pivot buoy with X1 wing that is going to be tested during the next weeks. Also, other companies like FPP or Staco Will is also testing other devices. There are other projects also in which we combine aquaculture with offshore wind. I think this is important. The efficiency of the space have to be high, and combining several activities is important step forward. So this is Aqua Wind, a project that combines aquaculture with offshore wind. And Musica is another project related with that, in which in addition to aquaculture and wind, you are also producing desalinated water and also taking a wave energy converter, getting energy from the sea. So in other type of technologies like wave energy happen the same. In here, perhaps the TRL, the level of readiness is not so high, but again, it's necessary to test those devices in order to see which is the levelized cost of the energy that you can finally produce, and also get information of how this device behavior during the time, and especially in winter time where the waves are very high. So another element I think that is important is not reinventing the wheel in each place. I think that at the European level we have to work together in order that those technologies could be mature as soon as possible, and working in network, in distributed networks as marine energy, for example, in which several test sites around Europe are cooperating in order to share experience, learning lessons, and also failures. But I think that it's very important to work together in these distributed networks. Also, we are helping to test technologies related with digitalization of the ocean observation. Ocean data are increasing, the data are also going cheaper, and we need new platforms in order to achieve that. And there are also several companies working in this direction, and also we are helping them to test in our test site. Also, there are plenty of opportunities at European level of have financing in order to test those devices and also to develop these kind of sensors. This is one related that we were working with, related with acoustic sensors, for example. That is something important for the next years. At the end of the day, the test sites are also, and the marine, the blue economy, it needs data, big amount of data, in order to understand how the technologies are behaving, and in the last stream, we need digital twins. So with those data. So the test site also is providing them the facilities in order to build those digital twins and to test without those digital twins. ELIAT is one of these big projects at European level that is trying to digitalize the whole ocean, but we are focusing here in PLOCAN in just the energy sector, in the energy questions, in order to use the devices that we already have to provide data for those digital twins and models and generate services over those digital twins, and also to train artificial intelligence algorithms and things like that. So another approach is just trying to also make business, sustainable business, just recovering biodiversity. And that is the part in which we take some area that is not healthy, and we try to benefit to increase the healthy of this area, the biodiversity and the natural services and the natural capital, creating at the same time touristic activities. This is one of those projects like Ocean Citizen, in which we are already working with the companies in order to create these blue parks. And also at European level, there is an initiative working in this direction. So I don't like to go in much more detail in the projects, but I think that with this you have a glimpse of what we are trying to do, just offering those demonstrations that the industry needs in order to provide that the technological viability, economical feasibility, and environmental questions, and also regulation. And just to close, I would like to share with you some of the important things that we are learning. And the first thing is that many times the technology is going much faster than the legislation. At the end of the day, if we like to create this economy, we need to speed up the legislation. We need to test a new business model in which you have, for example, combined use of fisheries together with aquaculture, or aquaculture together with energy, and the legislation don't allow that to do that, or just main vessels, for example. So I think that this we need a lot of work in order to have this regulation updated to the opportunities that the technology can provide us, and also have some kind of sandboxes in order to do that. There are other elements related with the public to private collaboration that have to be increased, standardization, things related with logistics. Again, I think that we have to increase the demonstration projects in which we can show how those new products or new services behavior in the market. Also, I think that we have to work more in relation with interlinks and also training. So I think that we are right to the end. I'm sorry to be a bit longer than I expected.
No, that's fine, Joaquim. Thank you very much for this overview of all the project activities. Yeah.